Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the moderators training this morning. This is Victoria Beal with the LTAP Center, and we also have Lisa Hall on. She'll be speaking to you in just a little bit. I'm going to attempt to unmute everybody, so please make sure you keep yourself muted on your end. I'm doing this because I want you to be able to ask questions during this morning's training. I don't anticipate this is going to take a whole hour. And if you're ready to take lots of notes, save yourself a little bit of time. There is a handout in the handout section of the GoToWebinar box that you should be able to download. And if you can't for some reason, we'll be emailing it out afterwards. But essentially, it's a checklist of everything we're going to go over this morning for you. So I know we still have lots of folks that are joining. We had about 78 who registered for this event. So I want to give us just a second or two more to let those last minute folks get into the room. While I'm doing that, Lisa, is there anything you want to mention before we head into the training?
Well, we have some exciting news. We had, as of this morning, we hit 3,100 plus attendees, which is way over what we ever dreamed or expected. So that's exciting news. People are wanting to be at the conference and they're wanting to hear what is being presented. So that's pretty much all I have right now.
Great, thanks, Lisa. All right, so again, if you want to download it, in the handout section of the GoToWebinar panel, there is a handout that you can follow along with the presentation for today. You don't need to worry about writing down everything that's going to be on the screen because it's on that handout for you too. So what we'd like to do is just basically take you through, the items that you need to know and need to handle as a moderator for OTEC. And we're going to start off with asking that everybody please be in their session room at least 20 minutes prior to the start of your session. I know that everybody is anxious to network and be back amongst friends and talk and catch up. So you have committed though to moderating a session or two. So save your networking time for some time other than right before the session you're going to be moderating. Please make sure you're in there because we need you present to confirm that all your speakers are there and to make sure that they understand what order they're going to be presenting in, how long they have timing wise, and to go over with them where to find their presentation file on the laptop that's going to be in the room where your session is going to be held. We met with Mills James yesterday and they confirmed for us that they're going to have the presentations on the actual desktop of the laptop that's in your room. So look for the speaker's last name and session number. I know the naming convention was not followed by a lot of the speakers as they submitted their presentations. And I'm not being critical by saying that. What I'm trying to let you know as the moderator is that I changed the name of their presentation file to be their last name and the session number. So while they might want to look for something else, know that it's their last name and the session number. So please make sure that you are showing them where that's at and that everybody's presentation opens up and there aren't any issues. So again, be in the room 20 minutes early, make sure everybody's there, go over the run of show, make sure that they know where their file is on the desktop. So the next thing we want to make certain happens is start your session on time. You're going to have folks straggling in, and that's understandable, kind of like we did this morning as people were getting on the technology. But it's important for those who are in the room that we be respectful of their time and get things started when we say it's going to start. Please also, when you start the session, remind the participants to check in on their smartphone on the OTEC app. And this is going to get easier as we move through the sessions. The first session on Tuesday, I'm certain, is going to be more of a struggle. Dan Springer says he has no sound on his end. I'm going to respond to him real quickly here. Hang on, folks. I'm doing double duty. I have to be able to catch those questions too. So hopefully the majority of the folks in your session will have a smartphone and will have downloaded the OTEC app and already built their program of the sessions they're going to attend. So they need to just navigate to the session, your session that they're in, and then from there, they need to check in. The session check-in codes are standard. Session 1 is going to be session 01, session 2 is going to be session 02, and I did put in your handout how the naming convention works. So, the session is capitalized, there's no space between session and the session number, and if it's a single digit session, there's a 0 in the front of that number to make it a 2-digit. So if you have questions on that, you can definitely reach out to us, but those session codes will be needed for them to check into the session. And then if you have individuals who do not have a smartphone, there will be a session checklist available at the registration counter that they can use to actually physically check off what sessions they attended. I'm guessing at the first session, this is going to be news to some people, but you can just let them know that they can pick it up in between sessions in order to record their attendance of that first session and the next session that they attend. So the next items we wanted to go over with you is also, while you're doing the intro and kind of the housekeeping, is please explain to your participants that once they check in on the app, that's going to enable them to ask questions within the session screen. And this is going to be our preferred method for asking questions. With the questions, you're going to need also on your end to have checked in on your phone, and you're going to be noted as the moderator, so you will be able to see the questions that are being asked and then ask them of the presenters. And the reason we are doing it this way is that we don't want to pass a microphone around and pass germs around. So, we're sending this questions in on the app, and then from there, you will be pulling those questions down and checking them off on the app as you ask them. Another part, and on your handout, you're going to notice this next part is in red because it's critical that you mention this during the beginning of every session. I don't care if we're down to session 77, we need to make sure we mention this at the beginning of every session, is that all the chairs in the room have been placed according to the fire code and they cannot be taken apart. Also, participants have to be in a seat and not standing. They can't just say they're just going to stand in the room because that's a fire code violation. We are trying our best, and Lisa has worked extensively with the Convention Center to provide as much social distancing as possible. Chairs are going to be hooked in batches of 6, but they have to stay hooked together because if there is a fire or a fire alarm, it's against the fire code to have those chairs loose because they could tip over as people are trying to exit. So once you move into the sessions, obviously you'll introduce your speaker, and you can use the information in the app to do this. We're trying to make things paperless. So in the app, you're going to have your session information. If you tap on the speaker's icon or photo in the app, you can go read off their bio as it's listed in the app. And then from there, obviously you'll go through and then they'll be making their presentation. Lisa has had signs made up to help you notify your speakers when they're getting close to the end of their time. So you can use those signs if you choose to. It's a good way to let them know 5 minutes, 1 minute, hey, you're at your end, you need to stop. Because we know people who present at OTEC are incredibly passionate about the topics they're presenting on. And some of them could probably hold us in a room for 8 hours straight talking about the topic they're presenting on. So please make sure that you're being, again, respectful of the other speakers who've committed their time to be in the session and your participants, and work to keep your speakers on time with their presentations. When you are all finished with your session, if you happen to be the last session in that room, and this is probably going to apply really more to moderators on the final day of the conference, could you please drop those signs back off at the registration desk? We would appreciate that. So getting to towards the end of your session, you'll have questions you can read from the app. I'm sorry, Lisa, did you want to say something?
No, I'm sorry. I just put it.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, I just put in the comments that the chairs are actually in 4s, not 6s.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just to make things better.
All right, thanks. So, questions again will be on the app, and then we want to make sure, you get your session wrapped up on time, because, we'll have other sessions potentially coming into your room, and we need to make sure that the next moderators and their speakers have time to do that prep. So, let's see. Yes, Lisa, there was a question in the question box about the number of attendees. Again, there was someone who joined just a minute late. And I'm going to try to unmute everybody again while you're doing that.
Right now, we have 3,100 plus. We just hit 3,100 this morning, and we've got a little bit over that now. Keeps coming in. Registration ends tomorrow, and then after that, registration will be on site.
Great, and I'm going through and hand unmuting everybody who is on the call. So what questions do our moderators or possibly even any speakers that may have joined us have for us? I'm up to the C's, so I'll keep unmuting here, but you can also put questions in the question box.
The speakers' bios are going to be in the app?
Yes. Lisa, did you want to cover that some more?
Are they going to be organized by session, or do we have to look alphabetically in the whole list of speakers?
Lisa, did you want to explain that while I'm unmuting people?
Well, Victoria, I'm not sure on that one. We have to check on that. I thought that was
actually,
part of the Q&A part.
I looked in the app last night, and the speakers are listed in their sessions. And from what I saw, you can click on the picture of the speaker to pull up their bio, because I was going through and talking to somebody who's going to be attending, and we were looking at which sessions they would be interested in attending. So, Matthew Roberts, can you mute yourself on your end? Thanks. Okay.
Victoria, I just went in, and yes, their bios, all you have to do is click on their picture and their bio comes up in the session.
Great. And we have some questions that are coming in the question box here that I'll read off too. What's the name of the app? The iOS doesn't have an OTEC app.
It's Cvent. It's in the email that I sent yesterday. It's under Cvent, and then you put in the OTEC space 2021 OTEC as the event ID. And if for some reason you didn't receive the email yesterday, look in your spam or junk file, because sometimes when we send those mass emails, it does not get to your main email box. Your company will block it.
Yeah, and I will look at following up after our session this morning and with a follow-up email, not only having that handout attached, but I'll try to get the link to and the information for the app on there too. Let's see, we have a question here regarding the audio and mic. Are they going to be wireless, lavalier, or are they tied to the podium or table?
The microphones will be wired, and they will be on the podium, and they will be on the tables. Yesterday when we met with AV Company, they said that they are not going to have a mass amount of lavaliers or lapels, and it's really not a good idea to have those at this point. So most of our mics will be wired, and they will be on the table or on the podium. That way people are not touching all of that.
Okay. And then there's another question in here. An individual who's a moderator who downloaded the app, they said they don't see any special designation or place for their role as moderator. Is there supposed to be something?
And that is something that Victoria and I have submitted to the event company that has created this. They don't have a designation between moderator and speaker. And unfortunately, that's just something we have to deal with this new app this year.
Okay. And then we have another question. Is there going to be an IT person stationed in the room in case there is any kind of issue, or will we be provided a contact number just in case?
We have an AV company called Mills James. ODOT no longer supports the OTEC conference with IT. Mills James will have gentlemen, you'll see them, they're dressed in all black. It'll say Mills James on their shirt, and they will be on the upper level and the lower level. And all you would have to do if they are not in your space is to step outside, and they're probably right outside.
Great. We're hearing somebody typing. Could you please mute yourself? Can you confirm the speakers will be able to utilize the notes portion of the PowerPoint? Speakers will see their notes for the topic, but attendees will not. Yes, we can confirm that. We have already had that question once, and they will be able to see the notes portion of their PowerPoint. Next question, if there are people standing and no seats, do we make the people standing leave? Well, my sense is that we're not going to end up with people standing because we actually have bumped all the sessions into much larger rooms than you're usually in. And when we bumped them into those larger rooms, we also reduced the number of people that the room could hold by 25%, meaning that, if you had a session that normally would have 200 people, we made certain that we only put you in a room that we put you in a larger room, meaning the capacity of what we were booking, we planned for 25% empty seats. So hopefully, that situation isn't going to happen. But I would say if it does, then yes, we would just have to ask people that were standing to leave the room because we can't violate the fire code. Wouldn't you say so, Lisa?
Yes, we can have standing. There is no standing room in the rooms. There probably will be empty seats, so there could be a possibility that someone would be okay if someone sat beside them. It's all on how you feel or how they feel. We've done the best we can considering the convention center's rooms are what they are, and there's no way we could make them larger. So we did the best we can with the seating, and all the sessions are on first come, first served. I would just make sure that you tell folks that want to attend to get there early.
Yep. There's a question about exporting the bios. Someone who is concerned that their phone is very small. So what I would do if that was me is I would go to the OTEC website. And Lisa, can't they access the bios there on the OTEC website?
They cannot.
They can't? Okay. I thought there was a link you had provided me at one point in time where we could see everybody who was presenting.
But the bios are directly in the system, so it either has to be on your phone or we would have to do that.
Yeah, let me see what I can do to maybe get you a link to the page that has all the bios. If I can do that, I'll email it out to everyone so you can click on the person and print off the bio and bring it with you. Otherwise, I would consider possibly, seeing if there was somebody who has a tablet or borrowing a tablet and bringing that as opposed to your phone, because you can also put the app on a tablet. And then that way you'll be able to, adjust the font size and see things easier on there. We've been asked to please discuss mask protocol. Will there be someone who patrols? There are 3 levels of distancing. How will this work? Lisa, that's yours.
The City of Columbus, the mayor of the City of Columbus has a mask mandate, and everyone must wear a mask. The person that is presenting is permitted to take off their mask to present, and then they must put their mask back on after they're done. No one is going to be patrolling. It's just like when you go to the grocery store. If the grocery store says you have to have a mask, you need to wear a mask. I personally am not going to come up to you and tell you you must leave the premises. That's not my job, nor is it your job as a moderator. It is mandated by the City of Columbus, and we just ask that everyone wears a mask. Now, I don't know if the security at the convention center, if they see you without one, they will do anything. I assume it would just be like any other place that you're at, you know, in general. And what was the other question, Victoria?
To discuss your 3 levels of distancing. I think there might be referring to the ribbons that you.
We kind of did the ribbons in like a stoplight, red, yellow, and green. We know from others that have attended other conferences, it's very awkward if someone comes up to shake your hand and they put their hands up and say, no, don't touch me. So we put together some ribbons to kind of help that social distancing so it's not so embarrassing. So if you're comfortable shaking hands, you would probably pick up a green ribbon. If you know, an elbow bump, that kind of regard would be a yellow ribbon, and a red ribbon would just mean, you know, I need you to stay distant from me. We're just trying to make things as easy as possible and not to cause any embarrassment or, you know, uncomfortable, trying to make people less uncomfortable.
Great. And then there was another question about the access to the speaker bios. So, you know, we will work on getting you a link to that page. And I think someone mentioned even farther down that the bios are on the registration part of the website. So it's out there. I mean, but if you're really concerned about it as a moderator, you could also reach out to your speakers and ask them to give you their bios. And then that way you can just bring it with you too. So there's lots of ways to approach this, and we'll do our very best to help you work through that. But if you're not getting anywhere and you need to, you know, have those, feel free to email me directly, but don't wait till Monday to email me. I need to know today or tomorrow so I can pull that information for you.
And we did notice one thing, Victoria, we did notice that some of the bios are quite extensively long. And as a moderator, you are most welcome to shorten those bios. You really probably don't want to read a 2-page bio. So please feel free to just mention the pertinent things for our speakers, and you can go from there.
Yeah, they can tell them that the rest of it's in the app and they can review it there if they're interested. I think they'd rather hear the presentation than a 2-page bio. A suggestion, not a question. They wanted to know if you were going to have the event ID for the app shown on a poster or something in case people miss the emails, Lisa.
We will have the information at the registration desk. Pretty much there are 2 QR codes that will take you directly to the app. We tried to email those, but the email held up because it was just too large. The registration desk will have all that information. So if anybody needs that, it will be at registration.
Okay, and then someone would like to know how attendance compares to previous years, and are the room seating capabilities less than previous years?
Yes to the last question, that we have had to make the seating a little less than what we normally would, and it's spread out quite a bit more. The seats, again, are locked together because that's fire code. If there was an emergency and people ran out and the seats went everywhere, it is an issue. So that is fire code. There's nothing we can do about that. Again, the rooms are what they are. We couldn't increase the room sizes. We did try to decrease the seat sizes. And again, it's up to you as an attendee. If the room's too full for you, then you may choose not to. But we did the best we could with what we had. As for registration in 2019 was almost 4,000. We were at 3,986. And like I said, we are at 3,100 plus today, which is just crazy. We were not expecting this. And just FYI for you guys, just a little note, the food numbers were in a week ago and cannot be changed. So if you want to eat, get there quick because we could not accommodate everyone that has registered in the last week. So there will be possibly, not have enough box lunches for that first day. So get there early. Just a little tidbit of info.
Yeah, and we know lots of people go out to eat too. So I was thinking about how I could better explain the room and the capacity. When I was looking at what session would go into what room, if the convention center said a room could hold 200 people, I made certain that I didn't schedule any session in there that traditionally would have any more than 150 in it. So we tried to reduce the number of people in the room by 25% to allow for more social distancing.
And just to reiterate on that, Victoria, it's very difficult to determine how many people are going to be interested in your specific session. Some sessions we have in large rooms and they may have 70, and we have some that we may have put in a smaller room because we didn't think there would be attendance that may have more than that. It's kind of hit or miss, so we do the best we can. And we're sorry if one of your rooms becomes super full and you can't accommodate everyone. Just reiterate to everyone in your sessions that the seating's on first come, first serve, and we're doing the best we can with what we could do for this year.
Absolutely, yeah. Lisa had some great historical data that we looked at as an average for number of people attending a session, but we also took into consideration some of the more popular or hot topics for this year. So there's a question here about someone who's in the app, and they said they see 2 handouts in their session. They wanted to know if they could check into it now or early to unlock the session features.
We do not have that capability. We have opened the sessions up 15 minutes before the session begins and 15 minutes after. The reason being, the app has some capabilities or does not have some capabilities. So we needed to open those sessions at the session time. So we decided we would try to do it 15 minutes early and then 15 minutes after the session ends. That's about the best I could get this year, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
And then are there laser pointers available in each room?
The laser pointers are on the clickers for the front, as you go forward in your PowerPoint presentation, the laser is actually on the clicker.
Okay. Someone was asking if they could have blank session tracking sheets in their rooms so the attendees without a smartphone didn't have to physically leave the room to get a sheet.
They need to understand that they pick those up at registration. When they pick up their registration badge, they can ask for it there, and then they can just carry it along. It has all 77 sessions on it. It's not by session, it's every session for the conference this year.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll tell you is that we're not going to be stamping those sheets. So it's not like they have to have it with them when they're in your session. So
Right.
if they get to the first session and they didn't realize they needed that sheet, they can just pick it up in between sessions. So it's not really a time sensitive item for them. For people checking in on the app, it's time sensitive. They have to check in while they're in the session.
And the only difference that means is when you receive your certificate of attendance, those folks that did not have a smartphone and were not able to check in will just get the certificate. It will be blank showing that they have attended, to where the ones that have checked in will get the normal certificate with the sessions that they attended.
Lisa, someone would like to know how the registration desk is going to know that someone's a non-cell phone attendee and give them a log sheet.
They would have to ask us for that. I do not know who doesn't have a cell phone a smartphone. So I do not know that.
Yeah. So
all they need to do is ask them at registration, say, I need a registration sheet for the sessions.
Right. So, there'll probably be quite a few people that don't realize that when they check in, and then after the first session, they'll stop by the registration desk to get it.
Yeah.
So let's see, their session, next question is, my session has 2 different parts. Is there a summary of each of the parts available? Is this something I should ask the presenters for? You need to talk to your presenters. If you as a moderator haven't been in contact with your presenters yet, you need to do that today. I mean, this all really, it shouldn't be something that you're coordinating on site. You should have this all pre-coordinated really. And then when you get on site, you just reconfirm, who's going first and, what the order is going to be. Let's see, someone wanted to know, assuming a presenter hasn't sent their presentation yet, to whom should speakers send their presentations? Well, that would be one of the 20 people that I'm still following actively and have been in contact with almost consistently since a week ago Tuesday. So if someone hasn't turned their presentation in, then the subcommittee chair is aware of it, and we are actively pursuing those. Is there going to be Wi-Fi available? If so, what are the passwords, Lisa?
We have hardwire in all of the session rooms. You don't have to worry about that. Wi-Fi, you will connect at the convention center. It's free Wi-Fi, so you'll do that directly. It'll come up on your phone. But for the session rooms, we have hardwired connectivity in those rooms, so we will not have any glitches or anything like that, like it would over Wi-Fi.
And that covers the next question actually on the list. One of the speakers plans to use Menti during their presentation. So yes, you will be able to pull that up. There will be Wi-Fi available on the laptop. And if you have speakers who have put videos out on YouTube and then they're just streaming it in through their PowerPoint, there shouldn't be any issue with that. It's all going to work seamlessly. Mills James has that all covered, and the Wi-Fi company has it covered too. Lisa, there was a comment thanking you for the early check-in on Monday. They said they really appreciate that.
That is new this year, but we decided, even as staff and dealing with now 3,000 plus people, it'll be so much better if some people come early and get their badge the night before. Just make sure you bring it with you, because you have to have a badge to be in the exhibit hall or in the session rooms. We're just trying to make things easier so we don't have 3,000 people trying to check in on Tuesday morning. Hopefully some of you will check in early and try to, make the crowds a little bit less than what they normally would be.
I see Hamid has his hand raised. Did you have a question for us? Feel free to unmute.
Yeah, I have two questions. One, confirmation when we submitted our, I'm a speaker, when we submitted our presentation, I didn't get any confirmation or if it's working or not. I'm Hawaii 54. Also, the next question, if the moderator have checked to see if our PowerPoint is working, should I bring a flashcard or something with the presentation on it in case? That is one question.
I'll go ahead and address your first question, and then we'll let you ask your next one. Mills James is going through every presentation that we are uploading to their file transfer site. And if there's an issue with the presentation, they're reaching out to us. But so far, so good. And I remember uploading yours quite a while ago, Hamid, so you should be good.
Good. And then the next one is my app. I have the app on my cell phone. I cannot download find the OTEC 2021, but you cannot download it. Is that because it's early or something wrong with my phone?
There should be no problem downloading. You said you did find the event ID, because it is, okay, it's OTEC and then there's a space and then it's 2021 OTEC.
Yeah, you find it and it shows the download app 2.2 megabyte or something. Okay. And I click on that and it's just churning and churning and churning, looking for event, it says.
I'm not an IT person, but if it was me, I'd delete the app off your phone and re-download and try again.
Okay. Okay, that's a good idea. That's all I have. Thank you. Great
All right.
jobs, you guys. Appreciate this.
Sure. Thank you. And I see Ken Ishmael has his hand raised. Did you want to unmute and ask a question?
I don't have a question. I pushed that by mistake.
Okay, no worries. Nice to talk to you, Ken. I have Luke Stedkey next, who has his hand raised. Would you like to unmute and ask a question, Luke? No? Okay.
I do have one more thing, Victoria, if I could.
Go right ahead. Yep.
Again, this is a brand new app. They are just currently building this. There's a lot of capabilities that it does not have at this point. So we're asking that you bear with us with this. We're new to it. The company's new to it. So there could be some glitches, but we're hoping that it goes off without a hitch. And we just ask that you'll be patient with us, just like you were with the Speaker Resource Center this year. That was a new item that we are trying to implement. So hopefully we'll be better versed in that next year and things will go a lot smoother. But thank you so much for working with us on all these new items.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Let's see. I have one more question that came into the question box. They wanted to know, how do we get in contact with our speakers in our session? They said they didn't see that information sent to them as a moderator. You need to reach out to your subcommittee chair and get that information. They've got it. And reach out to them. And if for some reason you don't get a response from the subcommittee chair, let Lisa or I know, but I believe they'll be very responsive. All 13 of our subcommittee chairs are great. All right, thank you all. Without you, OTEC would not be what it is. And it's going to be a fantastic success this year. I can feel it. So, and thank you, Lisa, for leading the charge for all of us.
We look forward to seeing everyone in person and just excited that we can do this. And hopefully, again, all of these new innovations that we're doing, it's just going to make it better and better every year to come. So thank you so much for your help, and thank you for moderating, and thank you for being a part of OTEC.
Yes.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.